Coming up, we're reflecting on CSUN with Allison Sheridan from the Nozilla podcast. And why are we all so tired?
You're listening to Double Time, your daily accessible technology show. Now, here's your hosts, Stephen Scott and Shaun Priest.
Hello. Welcome to another episode of Double Tap. We're back with a day off, and now we're back, and Shaun's tired.
Oh, I am. Hello, Stephen. Yes, I need another day off. Can we arrange that? Is that okay with Mr. F?
Absolutely not. That is not happening. No, you're tired, right? I'm a bit tired as well, but I think our reasons for tiredness are different.
Please stay tuned, listeners. We're going to battle through together. It's going to be a hard listen. But
it's a tech show, honest. We'll talk about... I'll tell you, the only tech that's been involved in my life is the coffee machine this morning. It has been working hard today. My reasons are slightly different to yours. I'll tell you mine first because, it's all about me.
Yes, of course.
So for me, it was because here at Scott Towers, we're getting some work done to the house. And this is now into the 4th week of the work being done. And I will say, when I say work being done, I mean no work being done. Like nothing. So apparently, tomorrow, everyone turns up to start the work of the painting and the decorating and whatever's to happen. And this is all because, honestly, so we bought a sofa. And, this is what started the whole thing, right? You buy the sofa, and then they come at you and say, right, we've got a delivery date of this date. And they gave us like a date at the end of May. And we're like, okay, that's cool. That's great.
Usually about 8 weeks from the time you actually buy it.
It was 15 weeks from the point of purchase. So we thought, that's great. We've got plenty of time.
Someone's
and my wife kept saying to me,
one.
Yeah, trust me, it's not. But, there's a few things that we'll get to that. There's definitely a tech discussion in that. Honestly, if you listen to Mr. F.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, there is some tech in there. But yeah, so we got a date of like 15 weeks. And then a month later, I get a notification saying, that's it, sofa's ready, it'll be delivered next week. I'm like, what? Are you kidding me?
But I've done nothing.
Yeah, and obviously the room is everything's still in the room. We had to empty it. The whole plan was to do it all in May, and of course now we're scrambling to get rid of stuff and organise things and get family over to help us and make sure that we've, checked down the back of the sofa for coins and all that kind of stuff. The old sofa, that is. Yeah. Well, you never know. I mean, I have to say, we found some interesting things back there, but I think Mrs. Scott would divorce me if I told you what we found. But anyway, let's just say a few things back there that we'll never discuss again. Dog toys was one of them, by the way. Plenty of dog toys.
Now I'm really interested.
Oh, well, if you put your mind to it, you can probably figure it out. Okay. But we'll just skip by it. So anyway, long story short, we've had the room clear now so that we could get the sofa in. But we couldn't get the decorator to turn up because he's really busy. So, we're like, okay, well, when can you do it? And he said, I can do it. I can start in 3 weeks. I'm like, right, but that's 3 weeks. We don't have a living room now because we've just emptied the place out. There's nothing here. I've even managed to push the sofa delivery back. And yeah, I've now been sitting here for weeks and weeks and weeks with no living room, and it's
nice. I like
it.
It's
beautiful. It's like having a ballroom to yourself.
Yeah, exactly. You could dance around in it.
I could have danced all night. It's what I generally do when I go in there.
Do you know what? Sarah, my partner, decorated the bedroom herself, and that includes wallpapering. First time, never done it before. I am not into DIY, but she said, you know what? I'm not going to spend $1,000 on getting someone in to do it. I'm going to do it myself. It can't be that difficult. And the amount of times I've had someone in and paid someone to do a job and then gone, well, that was terrible. They obviously don't know what they're doing. Because you know what we do when you get a job done? You feel it, don't you?
Yeah, that's right.
And you think, oh, that feels actually pretty terrible. So I'm sure it looks nice, but you know what? That feels awful. So yeah, she wallpapered the bedroom and it was fine. It was easy. Of course, the key is get wallpaper that you don't have to match up. So there's some sort of linen effects, wallpaper with glitter in it. I don't know. But you don't have to line it up or match it up. So yeah, just pasted the walls, got that special paste where you put it on the wall rather than the paper. Oh. And then she did it all herself. It's very good. I was very impressed. So there you go. That's another blind inspiration story. We can wallpaper.
Sarah of the Shed productions coming soon with a little van travelling around. She's not available next week by any chance.
Send her up.
Yeah, I could kind of do with the help at the moment, to be honest. That's cool. You could do a whole series on just how she did that, to be honest, because that was really interesting. When she said she was doing it, you know, that way at first you think, okay.
Yeah, that's going to be awful.
It's terrible, isn't it? We have these low expectations. We always talk about other people having low expectations of us, and then your blind friend says, "Hey, I'm going to wallpaper my front room," and you go, "Really?
You know what you need though? If someone was to say to you, "You know what? Go for it. Try it out," which is exactly what I said. Because usually people say, "Well, you can't do that. That's
exactly.
going to look awful," and straight away you're thinking, "Yeah, well, perhaps I can't do that." You know?
So what? It's your house.
Yeah. What have we got to lose? We don't care. Okay, do it.
Can't even see it.
Yeah, exactly. So give it a go. Go on, Stephen, have a go.
No, I'm not the type of guy. I'm not menial in that way.
You're not menial. You're a professional. You'll supervise.
I'm absolutely not a professional of anything, but I'm happy to supervise, yes. I'm one of those managers. You know those managers that walk around with a clipboard and you'd have a little pen in your little shirt pocket and you'd have a BlackBerry attached to your belt. You know, it's like, oh yeah, I'm one of those kind of people. You know, I can sort of say things like, oh yes, order more paint, and yes, absolutely, we need to get that done by Thursday. But beyond that, no idea.
It's all DIY. We can DIY. Also on that as well, on Sunday, the dog, was fine. Took him out in the morning, absolutely fine. Had his dinner, and then I went to check, and he'd left half of it. I was like, okay, that's weird. It's not his usual thing. A Labrador, you know what they're like. They'll eat anything.
Yep.
And then he started to just stand in the corner, wouldn't interact with you. Then his tail was down.
Dear.
Like, oh, no. And then he started being sick. And then he started to stumble about. So Sunday, I said, he's probably eaten something. You know what it's like? He's probably chewed a sock or whatever. He's always grabbing and stealing things.
He's not only, you know.
And then I had to do an emergency run to the emergency vet. And take him there because he started to burn up and get really, really hot.
Okay, hang on. I've got to stop you there, right? Because there's a fork in the road at this point in the story.
Yes.
And I have to be honest, this is very much a gender split conversation, I think.
Yes, okay.
So because I can actually hear
so
the conversation.
worried right now.
No, because this is how it goes, right? Women will ask the following question: how's the dog? Is the dog okay? What was the situation?
Oh,
what
I know
happened?
where this is going. Yeah.
Men will ask, how much did that cost for an out-of-hours vet on a Sunday?
Yes. Well, you know what? At that point, honestly, I was more worried, and I didn't. I said, yeah, we got to take him. So we took him. But I tell you what it is. It's the vet. You know, I got in there, took him in. Oh, yeah, he's very poorly. Here's the price. Here's what it's going to be. They do tell you straight away up front. And, yeah, we're talking, it was thousands. And it's like, oh, do you have insurance? I hope so. But yeah, so he had to stay in. He had some sort of infection, but we got him back today, and he's
okay.
better. He seems better, but of course, you know, it's like, you know, a family member being ill, right?
It's horrible.
While he wasn't here, everyone's walking around the house, and everyone's sort of irate and a bit tense and sniping at each other. So I am tired.
Yeah, I get it. And, you know, it's funny, right? Because with animals, it's so different because, like, a human, you can at least ask, are you feeling okay? Are you feeling better? And they can kind of articulate it to you. But dogs, you can't, there's no way of knowing. They can just, you know, fall in front of you and you've got no idea.
Yeah, it's so strange, though, how you just know, right? And dogs in particular, and my last dog did this when he got ill, they just sort of separate themselves. Just they won't interact with you. You know, my last dog.
That's a first sign, isn't it?
It is.
They start to disappear off on their own.
Because usually they're all over you, right? But it's just, no, I don't want anything to do with you. So, yeah. But touch wood, everything's okay.
Yeah, I mean, it is kind of funny at the minute because obviously the dogs are kind of up here with us because there's nothing they can really do downstairs. So they don't really go downstairs very much with us. And what was interesting, and again, it's this thing that, you know, people, I get it, but, you know, that kind of irritant where someone will say to you, well, look, we're not going to lift the carpet gripper, which kind of goes around the edge of the wall.
Oh,
you know,
yes.
Because it costs quite a bit of money to replace. So you could save yourself the money and keep it. So I said, okay, but what does that mean? And so they had me on the floor kind of like, you know, feeling this thing. And I'm going, oh, right. And I'm thinking, that's not good for the dog's paws.
No.
I mean, I don't mind standing on it. I wear slippers if I'm in the house or shoes or whatever. So I'll live with that. But the dogs, what do? And he's like, oh, the dogs will be fine. I really hate that attitude. People that say things like that. Oh, yeah, those will be fine. Oh, yeah, you don't care because it's not your dog. You
Just
don't have to
keep 'em
worry
out.
about it.
Yeah.
But I bet if this was in your house and it was your dog, you'd have a very different viewpoint. So there we are, laying mats down everywhere, trying to kind of, in case they happen to walk on it as they're coming out of a room. It's only really at the doors. Anywhere else, it's in the corner.
It's a strip of spikes, basically, that keep the carpet in place that go around the outside of the... Yeah. We had the same thing. We left ours in and, not good. For us, the dog was fine, but...
We're getting a bit fed up with the whole situation. However, the sofa we got, it does have tech in it.
Okay, let's get to the tech.
Yeah, there you go. See, we got there in the end. So it's got... I cannot believe we bought this. We went into the sofa store with the intention of just buying, a basic... Let's just get a nice sofa for the living room. Let's go for comfort. Okay, we might spend a bit more when it comes to, a really well-built, solid sofa, but let's focus the money on that, We had a kind of fixed budget. We knew what we wanted to spend. We'd gone in, and within 10 minutes, everything was out the window because we had seen this beautiful sofa which had reclining chairs. We weren't going to get a recliner again because we had an electric recliner in our previous sofa.
I never used it.
Well, I used it all the time, but it kept failing, kept breaking down. So, and my wife's side, my side, it just kept, by the end of it, her recliner barely moved. Right. Mine was actually pretty decent, but it just kept failing, kept breaking down. And so we had the company out all the time fixing it. And so we both said, never again, not doing that again.
Yes.
5 minutes into the sofa searching, there we are, looking at this recliner going, this is really nice. And of course, we're getting all this story from the salesperson, the technology's improved. And when did you buy it last? 10 years ago? That's a long time ago, and how things have moved on. And so she shows us this. So it's got, I cannot believe I'm saying this. I mean, my wife and I are both like, I can't believe we bought this. But, in fairness, I am maybe one of these kind of people who's known for buying something and then moving on very quickly. When it comes to things in the house between my wife and I, they stay for like a decade. So It's not going anywhere. Once this is bought, that is it there. And actually, we were saying this, we haven't actually done anything to the living room since we moved into the house about over 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. So, this is the first time that the living room's had like a real makeover. And it'll be the last time for another 10 years, but then we pay it all off. So anyway, we went into the sofa store and that was fine. And we saw this various ones and they were all very nice. There was one we saw which had subwoofers built in and a full surround sound system that came with it. Which
That's actually a good idea.
Well, it is, but then they put on like Jurassic Park, and the whole couch was vibrating, and I was like, I can't live like this. This is unnerving. It's like getting a massage from a dinosaur.
I used to hide a subwoofer under the settee. Actually, it was a good place to keep it because you don't, they're big old boxes, those subwoofers. So that's where we used to put them back in the day. But a bit overkill. All I want is a USB charger. I want USB plugs in it. Maybe a wireless charger nowadays.
Yeah, well, that's true.
That?
Yeah. So it has a center console. This is the new thing, right? You get a lot of these sofas now. They have center consoles. So between you and your partner, because, it's like, okay, we like the sofa because you can cuddle up on an evening and watch a program on Netflix.
That's exactly why Sarah got the sofa we got. Well, we could cuddle up together.
Yeah.
Do you know how many times we've led down to it's me sat on my own in there because everyone else is upstairs, watching their phones.
Oh, no. Wait to hear this. This is what we've ended up with. We've got a sofa, which is a chair for me. So it's like it's a sofa, right? It's a 3-seater sofa.
Yeah.
But it has a center console between my wife and I. So the first chair is like a chair on its own, right? But it's not. It's part of a sofa, but it looks like a chair. And so you have the center console and then the next 2 seats. And she said in the store, well, this is much better because I can cuddle up with the dogs on this side and you can sit on your own over here.
It's just so true. Has it got
like, well, at least we're preparing for the future. I mean, this makes sense. At least this is reality. Well, this is the reality, right? I mean, it's not, let's all cuddle up. And that never happens.
Yeah, the dog's always there.
The dogs are there, and they're in the middle. So, now she has her own space for the dogs and her. She can sit there, and she can cover that with hair if she wants. And I have this side over here, which is all mine.
Passive-aggressive.
The seats.
Does the console have a button on it and, like, a big sheet of glass, like in a taxi? Like
So you don't just see the person or talk to them, like in a
I'm
first
winding
class
the
in a
window
plane.
up.
You just have a shield between you and the person next to you. Not that I'm aware of. No, I don't think it's that clever. But it does have reclining headrests,
Okay.
reclining feet. It has
Reclining feet.
well, the bit at the bottom.
I
That
need
comes
to
up.
recline my feet.
I need
okay?
to recline. Nowhere else. Just my feet. I just want my feet to sit up.
okay.
My legs can remain as they are, dangling. So no, you've got the reclining functionality. That's not easy to say without two coffees. And it also has heated functionality. So on a cold day, my wife said, "This is great. We don't need to put the heating on anymore because we can
Sorry,
just."
have you bought a car? What are you
I
talking
know
about?
what. It's got heated seats in it.
Heated seat, central. It's got anti-brake system. It's got what else?
Anti-collision.
Yeah, self-driving.
Yeah, that's right.
Very nice. Sounds very
but
good.
I haven't even told you about the
please.
console yet. Hang on, you've got to
no.
hear about the center console. The center console has in it heated cup holders,
Okay.
right? So if you get a nice little hot drink in there, it can also have it cooled as well. You can choose between heat and cold. So if you get a cold drink, you can pop it in there. That's next to your heated seat, so you can have your seat roasting and your drinks freezing. There's a little pad, which is a wireless charger.
Oh, nice. I'm sold. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
And also on the inside of the arm of your chair, you've also got USB A and C,
Oh, nice.
future proofing.
Yes.
And then there was a bit
High
that
speed
I thought,
USB. I mean,
who knows?
Can you run your laptop from it?
who cares? It's USB, right? And if you're using a
well,
MacBook, you don't bother about
a big
batteries. I'm not a
difference.
PC user in that
Okay,
sense.
all right.
So anyway, wow, that got aggressive towards PC users very quickly. I'm
Very
sorry.
defensive about your sofa.
So.
Okay, sorry.
My sofa is Mac compliant. It's got a big Mac OS label on it, suitable for. And then there's the middle section, which pops a little arm that pops up, or a little area that pops up in the middle in the center console. And I thought, that's the place you put the remote controls, all that kind of thing. Yep. And the lady in the shop said, no, you don't put that in there. She said, no, that's where you put your snacks you want to keep cold. It's got a fridge in it.
Oh, that's not even a fridge. That's what do they call it? A cool drawer.
A cooler, yeah. It's got a cooler.
Oh, unbelievable. Well,
So now I have to start drinking bottled beer, it would appear. That's the next stage of my life. I have to say, some days it's felt like necessary, but yeah.
Well, the question is it accessible, Stephen Scott?
Well, what part?
I have no idea. The heating controls for various...
Oh, yeah. It's just honestly, just a button on the side of the sofa. It's all very tactile and very lovely. There's no control.
Is there no smart app?
Well, funnily enough, the other one we looked at, which had the subwoofer and all that, it had an app. And that was what put me off, because I thought, that's just a disaster. It had touchscreen controls on it and stuff, and I thought, I don't want all that. So this is tactile. It's got physical buttons. Yeah, it's really nice. So it's now arrived, so it's here, but I can't do anything with it because it's all in boxes.
Until you get Sarah around to decorate.
Until Sarah decorates the house.
We'll make that
Coming
happen.
soon. Excellent.
Very nice. That was the weirdest start to the show, I think.
Actually, I'll be honest. So we get a lot of emails in from people who say, could you put chapter markers in your show? Because, sometimes we don't want to hear all this garbage. We want to just move on to the bits that interest us. I mean, first of all, offended much?
Yes. We skip past your waffle.
Could you just get rid of the rubbish and just get to the bit that's actually of interest to me?
Yeah, the other people that come on the show. Yeah.
We have got a great guest coming up, by the way. We're going to hear from Alison Sheridan from the Nosilla podcast. My pronunciation very specific there, and you'll understand why a bit later. But yes, we're going to be hearing from Alison a bit later. She's going to reflect on CSUN. We had a chance to meet up with her actually at CSUN. It was really nice. So we're going to catch up with her shortly and find out what she was excited about and not so excited about.
Yeah.
No holds barred here on this program, as you know.
That makes it even more interesting.
It does, actually, yeah. When Alison gets on a rant, it's good. It's like a Stephen rant, It's good to hear. So anyway, we've got that coming up. But yeah, so we get these emails in from people saying, hey, can we get the chapter markers? I think I figured it out mostly with the chapter marker thing.
You have. Well done, sir.
Hang on. I don't know. Because what I cannot figure out is how to make it work on the Victor Reader stream. Because I can now jump through chapters. You can go into the Apple Podcasts app or Castro or any of these apps, and you can go in now and you can select the bit of the show you want to listen to, and it'll jump straight to it, and it'll start playing from that point, which a lot of people have been asking for a long time. Again, not offended at all.
Yes. From Friday's show, I believe. Was it Friday or Thursday?
Yeah, Friday's show we started it. We just put it out there just to see how it worked and just to see if it was actually working. This is all because of an app that I found called Forecast on the Mac. And what it does is it lets you can create the markers inside your editing program. Let's not even talk about Reaper. Not today, anyway. Although I know you've got started on it. I'm way behind, as usual.
I'm back into it, yeah.
I know you finally got into it. But I was reading all about how to do this with the chapter markers, and it said if you go into something like Reaper or any other application, frankly, that can create markers, chapter markers, you can then import those markers into this app called Forecast, which is completely free.
Mac only, by the way.
Mac only, yeah. I wish there was a Windows version.
I hope there isn't.
I wish there is, so that I can say, here you go, Shaun, there's something else.
No.
And really all you're doing is when you import it, it just burns in those markers into the MP3 file, I guess into the ID tags.
Yeah, I would have
And that's really how it works. So we think we've sussed it, but what I cannot figure out, and what I was trying to work out over the weekend, and someone hopefully will tell me the answer to this, when I went into the Victor Reader and I played the podcast, it wouldn't let me jump via chapter. And so I need to figure out how to jump by chapter. That's the bit I don't know.
Is that even supported by the Victor Reader stream?
Well, apparently it is. I'm continually told by the proponents of this that the other podcasts have made it available and it's made it possible. So, okay, it must be doable then.
It could be a limitation of the Forecast software we're using. This is
or
new
it could be our
stuff to
provider
us.
that we provide the podcast on. I don't know. I honestly don't know. But we're looking into it. We'll keep working on it. But if you are using one of the apps, you now have the option to do the skip. Maybe we should have said that at the start before we went into the whole bit about the wallpapering. And
this is why we need chapter
sofa.
Markers.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Anything catch your eye over the weekend or a year over the... I mean, I guess you've been busy, so you haven't heard much. But I did see there's a new Be My Eyes update on Windows.
Yes, there is. The interesting thing there is there's a conversation history. So if you're drilling the AI about some image or whatever and having a conversation about that on your phone, you can pick that up from Windows now. It's shared conversation history.
Oh, that's good.
So that's very cool. Other than that, I mean, I'll tell you what I was having a problem with. Be My Eyes I use quite often, right? If I'm opening a new piece of software, I often get Be My Eyes just, you know what, just describe the layout to me. I just like to visualize it. Maybe that's a throwback to my low vision days, but I like to get a sort of some sort of description. I could never close Be My Eyes down. Alt F4, it would say, do you want to shut down? And if the first time you said no, that's it. You get no other chance. Alt F4 just totally ignored. I could never shut it down. That seems to have been fixed. There's other accessibility problems it says that they've addressed in the release notes. Honestly, I haven't really had much time to play with it. Other than that, it seems pretty much the same, but it just seems like they've done a lot of under the hood improvements. So yeah, definitely check that out. I didn't have to do anything. I opened up Be My Eyes this morning and it was already updated. I did have to log in again. So it auto-updated itself.
What is going on with Windows? I mean, I could just stop there, to be honest. What is going on with Windows? It's amazing. Best software I've ever used. I'll tell you one thing. If you love restarting your computer, you got to love Windows. I mean, I just love it. I always feel it's nice every 5 minutes to just go, do you know what? Yeah, you're right. Nothing is working. Let's restart the computer again. Let's restart JAWS again. Let's bring in Narrator to try and help out, figure out what's going on. Let's just restart the whole damn thing.
Do you know what?
But here's one question I've got for you. What about these dialogue boxes that are now popping up to say, like, do you want to close or do you want to, there's things that come up now that seem to lose focus very quickly, and I cannot seem to get focus back to them. You found this?
No, not at all. Everything is rosy. Everything is great inside Windows. There.
Okay, but what's the truth?
No, honestly,
Is Satya Nadella in there with you?
Yeah, yes. I was going to say something then, but no, yeah. I haven't noticed that with dialogue boxes.
Say. Right, no, that's it. We're not going anywhere until you tell us what you're going to say.
Holding a gun to my head.
I'll tell you what was behind the couch.
I haven't. Give me an example.
So I'm trying to remember the application I was in the other day. I was in an application. I said Alt F4. I pressed Alt F4, and there was a window that pops up to say, do you want to close this or do you want to save out? And I lost focus from the window, and I couldn't get back to it. I thought it would appear in like the command or the Alt tab.
Alt tab, yeah.
But it didn't. It wasn't there. And you go back to the application, and it was as if that window had disappeared. And I thought, well, what's going on? And the only way I could do it was to basically restart the computer. This is what I mean. I'm constantly restarting it because I cannot seem to find things that just pop up. I don't know if something's changed in Windows a little bit. There seems to be a new way of certain applications, not all of them, But the newer applications, I would say, with pop-ups, maybe it's JAWS specific. I don't know because I'm using JAWS.
You know what? I would love to talk to someone who really knows the ins and outs of the accessibility layers in Windows because, you mentioned bringing up narrator, and I do that all the time. If I'm going through using NVDA and, I'm thinking, it feels like I'm missing elements on the screen.
Yeah.
I turn on narrator and, caps lock left and right arrow, and you get more information. Now, it's because they're using, as far as I can work out, different accessibility APIs, the different layers that Windows has. Why? Why is that? What's wrong with the new, believe it's called MSAA, the Microsoft accessibility layer?
This is familiar because I remember Robin Christopherson, our good friend, came on and he talked about this. So maybe that's something we should come back to. Anyway, look, let's move on because
we've run out of time.
We'll run out of time here, and I want to get to our good friend Alison Sheridan, who's going to join us on the other side of this. You're listening to Double Tap. Hey, Shaun, we've got a newsletter.
Letter with news from Double Tap?
Yes, a letter of news, which I think you need to read, my friend, to keep up to date with what is going on.
I know, I do need to find out what's going on, and this is a great way to do it.
Well, it is, because in the newsletter, you're going to get access to all of our stories, all of our coverage of all the big tech news stories, but also all of the conversations, the interviews we've been having, and even looking back at some great archival content as well, because we've been doing this for a little while.
A long time, yes, and even some exclusive content just for the newsletter subscribers.
That's right, and if you're a keen listener to Double Tap on podcast and YouTube, you might even find some exclusive codes in there as well for your shopping delights. It's not just going to be Stephen that's buying things around here, Check out our newsletter. You can subscribe to it right now by going to doubletaponair.com/subscribe.
That's doubletaponair.com/subscribe.
Double Tap thanks Turtleback Cases for supporting the show and for creating gear with purpose, passion, and lived experience. It all started when founder Brian Eremita designed a case for the original Braille note, inspired by his son's vision loss. That personal connection turned into a mission. Today, Turtleback still crafts high-quality leather cases for note-takers and accessible tech, offering custom fits for the Mantis Q40, Focus 40, Victor Reader Stream 3, Braille eMotion, Blind Shell Classic 3, and many more. Everything is made in the USA, backed by a 90-day satisfaction guarantee, and shipped worldwide via FedEx with tracking. Use promo code DT12 for 12% off your order at turtlebacklv.com.
Get in touch with Double Tap. Email feedback@doubletaponair.com. Leave us a voicemail at 1-877-803-4567. And now you can send an audio or video message to us on WhatsApp. That number is 1-613-481-0144.
Right, let's get back to CSUN from earlier this year and a chance to reflect on some of our findings with Allison Sheridan from the NosillaCast. Good to have you back with us, Allison.
Yay! I love Double Tap.
Oh, thank you. We love you too.
Yeah.
Yay!
And hey, it was lovely to
fun
meet
to get
you.
to meet in person.
I know, we met at CSUN. I couldn't believe it. You were there. I hugged you. You didn't say I was fat. It was brilliant. The only person that didn't actually in that whole trip, Allison. Well done.
I think Shaun said it several times, but I didn't.
He did.
So that was nice.
Yeah.
Don't throw me under the bus, Alison. Thank you. Even though I did enjoy our meal together. Thank you.
Yes.
And I had to beg you guys and bribe you guys to meet up with me, but it worked out. I was glad you guys said yes, you'd agree to say hi. So that was super fun.
Will always get us there. Don't worry.
Oh, yeah. No kidding. I've got to say, we've been celebrating our 1000th episode, and we did realize that this is actually nothing compared to what you have achieved with your Nozilla podcast. Tell us about the amazing moment you're celebrating here.
Well, first of all, it's NosillaCast. I have actually registered NosillaCast because so many people think it rhymes with Mozilla, so it's a terrible name.
Okay.
But on May 12th, I don't know if that's forward or back in time from when people are hearing this, I will be celebrating the 20th anniversary of the NosillaCast.
Oh, well done. That is absolutely fantastic.
20 years. I mean, in usual Double Tap fashion, we're sort of joking, but 20 years, that's amazing. I mean, was there podcasts back then, Alison?
Yeah, so podcasting started in October of 2004. And I started in May of 2005. So, and Adam Christensen was the first Apple-centric podcast. And a gentleman named Tim Verporten, who unfortunately passed away, I think he was the second one. And then I was the third one. Tim obviously is gone now, but Adam stopped his podcast at 19 years. So I am now the longest running Apple-centric podcast. You might think it's Mac Break Weekly. It is not. You might think it's Mac Geek Gab. It is not. You might think it's Mac OS Ken. It is not. It is the NosillaCast.
Wow, we are an esteemed company over here.
We're not worthy. I mean, you are the godmother of podcasting.
Stop saying that. You're making her sound old, and that's not nice.
I'm not making it sound old. I'm noting the situation.
Yeah, okay, fine. You've made a mess. Try and clear it up when you go, Shaun.
I'm not making
well,
a
here,
mess.
I'll give you this one. I only do it once a week, and I haven't missed an episode since probably the third year. I took 2 weeks off one year to go to Italy, but I haven't missed a week in all these years, in the last 17, 18 years. But you guys do it every single day.
I know.
Daily. That's bananas.
And you know what? We don't even use AI. I mean, how pathetic is this program? Everybody else is using AI to do everything. We don't even use AI. This is artificial stupidity. This is ass on air. That's exactly what this is. AS. Yeah. Just in case, in case anyone was getting worried there. No, it's all right, Mr. F. You can calm down. It's all right. Everything's fine. Listen, let's talk about CSUN because you were there, and it's not your first time. You've been there a number of times. What stands out for you? Why do you? And I often think of you in that mainstream tech role, but you have really taken an interest in the accessibility field. First off, why is that? What drew you to it?
Well, nowadays, what I get out of it is it's really fun. It's really interesting, especially at CSUN, to see all of the cool solutions that people are coming up with and the neat gadgets and just learning the different solutions. And then that helps me understand what are the challenges. And for example, one of the things that has become clear to me going to CSUN every year is it turns out not all blindness is the same. I don't know if you guys know that, but not everybody suffers the same thing. Or enjoys, depending on how your perspective.
I love it.
So I've learned a lot from meeting up with blind people, more blind people than other disabilities, but also other things that people go there for. I originally got interested, and I think I told the story on the show before, is when I was 9 years old, I read the book Follow My Leader, where a little boy is blinded, and it follows his journey to getting a guide dog and learning Braille. And I saw the Braille alphabet in the book, and I actually made myself a Braille alphabet with a punch and a piece of cardboard and taught myself the alphabet. So I've kind of always been interested in accessible tech, but now I get to go to this candy store that is CSUN and see all of the new things coming out.
Yeah, I mean, it is for us the same. I mean, we have never been to CSUN. It was our first time this year, and it kind of blew us away. I mean, look, we've seen similar exhibitions around the world, more in the UK and Europe, but they are tiny. They pale in comparison to CSUN. I would akin it to almost the CES in Las Vegas, obviously not maybe on even that scale, but, very similar in the sense of huge amounts of providers there, who are showing off their products to blind and low vision people, but also to disabled people more generally. And it's interesting because I guess what you may have noticed over the years is how, and we've certainly noticed this, but, from a mainstream perspective, how many mainstream companies have now become part of CSUN, where before it would have been perhaps Braille displays or Braille technology, large print, those kind of things, magnification, but it's really moved on. We're seeing the Amazons, the LGs, the Samsungs, the others turning up.
Yeah, you definitely do see the bigger companies. I kind of always stay away from the big companies. Like we do CES as well, and we never go to the big, here's Sony's booth on giant new TVs that are transparent or whatever. We tend to go to the weird booths and, interview somebody about a toilet seat or a weird cat carrier or something like that. And I kind of pride myself on finding the more off the beaten path ones. So I don't actually talk to the big ones. I don't know whether we should talk about LG or not, because that booth was horrible. That was absolutely the worst. The guy didn't understand the products at all. He didn't know what it was. We will not be airing our interview with him.
Well, it's funny you say that, actually, because we didn't air the interview with LG either. Nope. Primarily because...
I sort of feel like we should tell LG,
Well,
like,
I did. I mean, I
guy?
had a great conversation with the guy from LG, and he was, kind of on board with what I was saying, but I was asking him lots about, specifics around the televisions and how accessible it would be to someone who's blind, and he kind of sort of knew the answer. but I just felt perhaps he wasn't representing, and you get this a lot of these events. Sometimes you get people there who aren't quite the best spokespeople for the job. I mean, there's a few stories we could probably tell in an after hours that were quite interesting.
He didn't even understand. He was just demonstrating things like a handle for a dishwasher, and he couldn't explain how it worked.
Yes.
And anyway, we should talk about the fun stuff, because there was cool stuff. Can I tell you about something that was nothing to do with for the blind that I think was the coolest thing I saw?
Shaun says no.
Of course you can. Of course you can.
No. There was a company there called Quality of Life Plus, and they connect universities, professors, and senior students with people who have disabilities that need something designed for a very unique need. Now, these tend to be more for high mobility things, for athletic adventures. For example, one of the projects they did was there was a guy who wanted to be, he was going to be in the Paralympics, and he wanted to be able to be a bobsled rider or driver, but bobsleds require two hands, and he only had one arm. And this university got a student together, made it their senior project to design a bobsled that only had one handle. And I got chills talking to this guy. I literally started to tear up in the interview because the things that they've been able to do, like there was this vet who lost a leg and she used a wheelchair, but sometimes she wanted to be able to use a walker and she didn't want to carry both of them around with her. So they connected a student together, a bunch of students, I think in this one, and they actually designed one device that does both, where the chair part flips over and becomes a support for her remaining part of her leg. She's got a knee, and she can go up on one knee and she can use it as a walker, or she can flip it around and turn it into a wheelchair. I mean, how cool is that?
Wow. Yeah. It's not only that. I mean, it's just so beneficial, obviously, to the person with a disability, but also to the students, right? I mean,
100%.
Just taking you through, design process and talking to the person who needs the product. I mean, yeah.
Yes. And they said that both sides benefit so much. Like a bunch of the vets have ended up going to engineering school as a result of working with these programs, because they're like, well, that sounds really fun. I want to go do that. But of course, the person doing the design isn't making the next widget for the next big tech company to come along. They're actually changing somebody's life. And it's a long interview. It's absolutely heartwarming. I loved 100% of it. I was so excited about this. The company, again, is Quality of Life Plus.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I'm thinking of, is it Living Plus from Succession, if you watched that show? That's what I'm thinking of, but I'm hoping it's an entirely different thing, because that was, although I must admit,
that doesn't work out well?
No, it didn't work out so well in Succession, that's for sure. But, I mean, look, it is a great chance to learn about all kinds of tech. I mean, obviously, Shaun and I were there to geek out on all the Braille stuff and, all the new stuff that's going to be coming down the line. Lots of products that perhaps aren't going to even appear outside of the US for a year yet. I mean, this is one of the great things about accessible tech in some ways, is it's quite easy to cover, because you can talk about it in 2025. The product may either show up in 2026 or, even further down the line. We saw products from companies like Orbit, for example, with the Orbit Player, which is a really interesting device because it goes up against some pretty big players in the market at the moment. But, again, that product's not going to show its face until probably mid-year, if not late 2025. So lots of cool stuff to talk about, lots of cool stuff we found out about. But again, I'm kind of keen to get your perspective on what interested you, because you're always looking for those kind of different stories, I guess.
Yeah, one of them, I don't know if you saw Case for Vision.
Yes.
This one I thought about, Shaun, where you've had a degenerative eye disease. Is that the right way to describe it?
Yeah, that's right.
We're
that's fine.
Losing vision over time. This is a device that it's a case for your iPhone that stands it up above, say, a piece of paper, and then you can use a magnifier real time, not taking a picture and then zooming in, pinching to zoom, but you're actually zooming in and panning around at the live image underneath it. And it's set to the perfect focal distance for the phone. It's specifically for an iPhone. And I thought it was a really interesting solution to basically have like a portable VTech, if you will.
Yeah.
Hang on. Where are you seeing the magnified image?
On the phone screen.
On the phone screen itself? Okay.
Yeah, so the iPhone, it looks like a big industrial case, but it's got these legs that flip out from underneath, from the backside, and they extend out and hold it at the perfect focal distance above a piece of paper, whatever's underneath the phone.
Yeah.
And then you just pinch to zoom like you would pinch to zoom on the camera. That's all you're really doing. But the case and the software that's in it allows you to zoom in and be able to pan around real time. And then it's got one thing that it was a little bit janky. It's got a mirror that folds down on the back side of the phone to 45 degrees. And imagine sitting in a classroom and you set it on your desk and then you flip that mirror down. What you can see through the screen is the whiteboard of the person teaching. And you could zoom in and see it, and you can actually record audio and video in that zoomed version. It was a little bit hard to flip it down and everything, but the focal thing is set up straight. And they also have one of these case for visions for the iPad. And I said, the one problem is Apple keeps changing the sizes, right? It's 10.9. No, it's 11. It's 11.05. They're always changing. And he said they guarantee one free replacement of your case. Oh. So if you buy the next version, then you've got another 2 or 3 years or whatever with that iPad or that iPhone for without buying it again. And that one's, I believe, Case for Vision's already on the market.
Yeah, and what's cool about that is that you're using the same hardware that you've already got potentially. I mean, you may have an iPhone. Your parents or even school might provide you with an iPad, and it just allows you to use that device. Because look, there are many, many options out there, many specialist magnification devices out there. But they do come at considerable cost, often more than the cost of the smartphone.
Yeah, or locked into something that you don't want to use. I mean, in this case, this is only the iPhone. But if, you're an Apple user, but this is only with a Surface Pro that it works, then, or it's built in with a Surface or something like that.
Well, not only that. I'm thinking back to probably our school days, Stephen, where your CCTV used to come in on a trolley.
Mine's came with staff. I was like Beyonce going to class every day. I had 4 people to push this trolley with this
men
thing.
in brown overcoats.
Someone to carry me. It was ridiculous. No, I mean, honestly, it was ridiculous. I used to go to class. I had a trolley which would be pushed behind me by someone. I had someone else carrying bags full of,
Were you really worth all that trouble?
No, I learned nothing. It was a complete waste of time and money. I gave so many people a job out of that. I think I was personally giving employment to about 5 extra people in that school. It was ridiculous. But yeah, I mean, how things have changed, how now literally you can have this device in your pocket. It is mind-blowing what you can do nowadays with a smartphone.
One I'd like to hear what you guys think, but did you look at Magnification? I don't know if you remember that, but it's a VR headset with an iPhone 16 Pro inside.
So I got to be upfront with all these things. There was lots of products like this, right? Lots of products that are these devices which in some way or another can either compensate for the vision you have and maybe even enhance it to some degree. We hear from companies like eSight, Patriot was there as well. I think they were doing one similar. They all are wonderful in their own way, but they only work for certain people. And I would say, I can't speak for Shaun, but I probably can, and say it's not going to work for him and it ain't going to work for me. It's funny, actually, there was one company there who shall remain nameless, but they were really pushing their product on me to say, this will work for you. You should come back. This will work for you. And I'm saying it.
Were they saying it louder too, so you could hear them?
Absolutely. They were clearing my ears for me at the same time. And it's like
guys, I Love Lucy when she would yell louder to somebody who didn't speak English.
Yes. But honestly, it was like, guys, it's not going to work for me. I've tried these products before. For me personally, it's not going to work. It's not an indictment on your product. Your product is brilliant for people who can use it for something. Shaun, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, maybe, but not now.
Absolutely. Yeah, but are you saying just because they won't work for us, we totally ignored them?
We did, yes.
Yeah, that's what we're saying.
I can talk about the product, but I can't demo it.
Yeah.
I want to tell you why I didn't like this one, though. I haven't even gotten to tell you.
Oh.
Basically, it's an iPhone 16 Pro inside. It's got a 20x zoom, so it's got the 5x zoom, and it's got a little bit of optical magnification, 100-degree field of view, and it's $3,500. If you already have the phone, it's only $2,500. All this thing does is add a magnifier. That's all it does. I mean, it's got little lenses that pupillary distance, so you can move it in and out and that kind of thing in focus. That's it. $2,500. I was just like, you got to be kidding me.
Surely.
I didn't see much in there, and I tried it on and looked at it and played with it. And
this is all about the optics, though, right? This is the lenses and the engineering, and this is the accessibility tax. It's new.
But it is just accessibility tax, Shaun. I don't think. I mean, the lenses. It's not.
Yeah,
I mean, they're not to your prescription. They're not. They're not projecting any. They're just a lens. There's no projector inside. It's using the iPhone. That's all it is.
It's a hard sell. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Can I tell you about a weird one?
Well, just before you say that, I mean, I want to pick up on that point because look, we talk about this all the time, and in Blind World we talk about this all the time. And I remember when the Apple Vision Pro came out, I kind of laughed. Remember when we just laughed, Shaun, at everyone who was, their British
throw
phrase.
me under the bus,
No, but honestly, a great British phrase, knickers were in the air because, quite frankly, everyone was getting riled up over the price of the Apple Vision Pro, right? And I'm saying, welcome to Blind World. That's every day. That's every day. Exactly. Everything costs
Actually, that's a
fortune.
great point. This is as expensive as an Apple Vision Pro.
Yeah.
That's wrong. That's so wrong.
But I will say this, you can buy an Apple Vision Pro and not do any of that stuff in there because I did have a chance to try one and was actually quite disappointed at the lack of certain visual accessibility features like zoom that I thought would have been so obvious for a device like
no
this.
brainer. Yeah.
Nothing in there yet. So it's very early days for that.
Is there no zoom as in to zoom into the OS of the Vision Pro?
Yes, but not like in live view. So I couldn't be sitting looking like eSight, for example, where I could actually zoom into something far away.
Yeah.
Can't do that
Such
with
an
this
oversight.
device. I know, it's weird, right?
Pun. Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, sorry.
Well, I want to make sure I stick to the schedule here. I can either tell you about something weird here or something that is... Yeah, of course. Well, maybe I can squeeze in both, but something weird here and something really cool from CES that I don't think I talked to you about yet.
Okay.
We'll have both.
That might be interesting to you. There's a company called Augmental that has designed something called the MouthPad.
Yes.
And it's a trackpad for your tongue. You go to the dentist and you get a mold like you would for a retainer. And then this is a little tiny trackpad that's stuck inside the thing. And you use your tongue to actually control a phone or a computer if you've got no ability to move your arms, for example, or use eye control. It's another way to do it. I thought it was really interesting.
I thought it was genius when I heard about that. I mean,
of course.
Just coming up with the idea in the first place. But obviously didn't try that out, but yeah, fantastic.
Well, I mean,
yeah,
again,
she
it's
didn't
not
let me put hers in my mouth.
Well, I was going to say, it's probably not a trial product. I mean, I think COVID probably saw an end to the demos of that. But, again...
Not to mention the whole thing fit on the teeth part.
Yeah. And again, I guess you would need the vision to use it. It's not going to be something that maybe a blind person could use, I don't think.
No, this is for mobility issues. Yeah.
But great. I mean,
did I talk to you about Solid 3D? Have you heard of that company?
Doesn't ring a bell.
It's spelled SOLIDDD, which makes it really hard to describe how to describe it. It's a company that they figured something out. If you think about vision where you have two eyes and when you look at stuff, you don't see two images, right? You only see one, but you've got two lenses, two projectors basically onto your retinas and into your brain. You've got two separate systems going in, and yet your brain synthesizes that into one. They started with that idea and they said, well, wait a minute, what if we could project a bunch of different images onto the retina? Would your brain still be able to coalesce those? So they created a little grid, and I'm forgetting something like 8x6 or like 36 separate little cameras that are right now it's a little breadboard, but if you put it close enough to your eye, all of the images turn into one image. And the problem it solves is if you've got dead spots on your retina from, say, macular degeneration or some of the other eye diseases that affect the retina, the images all blend into one and you no longer see the blank spot. And they've done testing with people, and it's not a huge sample set. I would have liked to have heard thousands or hundreds of thousands of people, but it was in the low hundreds, I think. And people who could already read with macular degeneration were able to read faster. And I'm assuming that's because they weren't constantly trying to get their eyes to move away from center. Trying to read something in your periphery without making your eyes look in that direction is really hard. And then people who couldn't read at all were able to read that couldn't read before.
Wow.
That is so clever because it's absolutely, I mean, the brain fills in anyway, most blind spots. It's not like you just, I don't, when I was losing my peripheral vision, it wasn't that, people kept saying, do you see black at the sides? No, it just cuts off, but your brain does fill in dead spots and that makes total sense.
what you say brings up. My brother only had one eye, lost his eye when he was 4 years old, and I asked him once, "What's it like to not see out of that eye?" And he said, "What's it like to not see out of your elbow?"
Yeah, that's a fair point. Yeah, exactly. How do you know, right? It's gone, so you would have no idea. But it's interesting because, of course, there is a big move at the moment towards the brain itself being the focus of vision. Of course, I mean, we can talk about Neuralink and, the controversy around the guy at the top there, but, you can't deny there's a lot of interesting conversation going on around that and how they're essentially bypassing the eye or bypassing the optic nerve and going straight in to the brain for images. I mean, it's very early days
It's
for this
fascinating.
stuff, but
yeah,
if you can
so
complement
this company
that.
Sorry?
Well, if you can complement that, if you can complement the vision you already have with, essentially filling in those blanks directly onto the brain or into the brain, that's impressive.
Yeah, it was a real interesting idea. Now, the guy I was interviewing was a super nerd, like he was the guy down in the guts of how this thing worked and everything.
Yeah.
And so he was awesome. He was great.
Amazing
I love that kind of person to talk to. But he said, "Oh yeah, we're going to have this in production like in the fall." And I'm like, "Really?"
Yeah.
This was a breadboard. It was literally stuck to wood. And it was going to be in glasses by the fall. And I'm on the distribution list for their emails, and they're kind of like, "Yeah, maybe we're a little bit optimistic on that." And so, productizing something is something that I'm not sure they've done. But they had originally, the company's been around for a while. They had worked on lenticular, I think it's called lenticular lenses, where for televisions, where you can simulate 3D without glasses was the idea. And that really didn't take off. And so then now they've diverted over into this. And I just really hope this is real, and I hope it's they can productize it and get it out there, because if it is, I mean, that's phenomenal.
Yeah,
that would be a huge uplift to people.
I would love to see people who've got monoscopic vision, one eye, essentially, being able to experience 3D, because if you can build that experience in, we talk about, I mentioned the Vision Pro earlier, the whole, bringing images to life and all that kind of stuff. It's an amazing thing. And of course, people who only have one eye or the use of one eye lose out on all of that. So, if you can bring that back in some way, that's cool. Ideally, non-invasive as well, right? You don't necessarily want to have a, thing implanted in your brain to do it if you can avoid that.
Why not?
What's
fine with you?
My brother was in high school, he was taking a physics class, and they were talking about depth of field, and they put the teacher put up two boxes, one farther away and one closer, and had the kids stand at eye level with this and cover up one eye and see if they could tell which was the close one and which was the far one. And my brother walked up there, and and he was able to tell it 100% of the time. No matter what she did, he could always tell. And the teacher looked at him and realized he jiggles his head. He was creating stereoscopic vision just by jiggling his head, and he didn't know that he did that until that happened.
That's interesting.
Yeah. It is.
And that was at CES, right?
Yeah, at CES. So at podfeet.com, because everything good starts with podfeet.com, my husband Steve does all of the videos. He's published all of our videos from CES from January. We just finished this week. We'll be publishing the last one. So you can find it there. The company's Solid, SOLIDDD. If you click on the videos button, you can find it in there or do a search. But now what's funny is that was in January. We did 55 interviews, and we didn't want to just flood it. So we've been doing like 3 or 4 a week. We are just now going to start publishing the CSUN interviews. We're going to do a couple of them this week.
That's incredible. I mean, I love the content you do, and I love the questions you ask, because you don't mind getting in the face of some of these people and saying, "Okay, what is this thing?" and tell us about it. And I love that. We've often laughed along or really kind of thought, good for you, ask that question. Because you're asking the questions I think a lot of people who are sighted, who are, not disabled, have had no involvement with disabled people at any point in their lives, will be wondering. And I think opening up this conversation to more people is so vital. We talk about this a lot on the show. The cost sometimes of inclusion is exclusion. We end up excluding people away. Oh, we don't want sighted people around here because this is a blind show. Nonsense. Don't want that at all. Welcome everybody in. That's what it's all about, because we all live together. No blind island around here.
I did a talk at Blog World 100 years ago that I called How to Increase Your Audience Size Through Accessibility. because, everybody wants to increase the audience size. They will always show up to those things. And I said, why are you putting up a brick wall for all of these people not to be able to enjoy your content? And it just doesn't make any sense. And the thing that really helps me is blind people, disabled people write to me all the time with telling me I'm wrong. Like, you totally missed this point. You didn't understand. You don't know what my life is like. Let me tell you. And that's why I know stuff. So anybody who thinks that I'm all wet with anything I talked about here or on the show, I really encourage people to email me at allison@podfeet.com telling me when I'm wrong, or just, educating me, telling me there's something I don't know, because I don't know, right? I mean, unless you told me.
All the time. It's fine. We don't know either. So that's fine. I don't think you can sort of overestimate, though, that the impact that having, I'm going to say, mainstream people involved, because it does. Sometimes it feels like we're constantly fighting for accessibility. We know this new thing is exciting, but how are we going to get involved in this? How are we going to be able to use it? And to see like mainstream people taking an interest in there, and not just, hey, look, this thing.
Lip service.
Well, yeah, it seems like, hey, this could restore blind people's, like the clickbaity
inspiration
headlines.
Porn and all that stuff.
As we call it.
I hate.
But just seeing it at sort of every level, it's really, I don't know, it's kind of inspiring for me. There, I've said it, and I thought I'd never would.
You know what inspiring? How dare you?
Well, it's just nice to know that it's not just us and our, vested interest in it, but there is other people out there who see the value in it.
Well done, Alison. Keep it up. Do more.
Well done, is what I'm saying.
Here's to the next 20 years.
Well, thank you guys. Thanks for having me on. This is always fun. I could keep talking to you. I've got 400 pages more notes I could talk to you about, but
come
I
back.
hope people will go over and watch the CSUN coverage or listen to it. Everything I do is for the video interviews is also in the audio podcast, the NosillaCast, not with a Z, but with an S. And of course, you should subscribe to that in your podcatcher of choice and go to podfeet.com. Did you want me to plug my stuff like that?
I don't care.
No.
I love it. I just want you to plug your stuff so people can go find it. Alison, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. And come back soon.
All right. I definitely will. Anytime you want to have me on, I'll be there.
And who
Thanks,
paid for
Alison.
that? Who paid for that meal, by the way? That we, because I skipped out on that
Steve.
pretty quick. Excellent. Thank you, Steve.
God bless you, Steve.
You dined and dashed, I think, right?
Absolutely did. I did that a lot at CSUN, I'll be honest. I kind of thought, you know what, I'm out of here, and I just grabbed Shaun and we ran.
Have you seen two blind people dash? It's not the fastest.
It did take about 40 minutes, but we did try. Alison, come back soon.
I will. Bye, guys.
And that is it for us for another day. As always, thank you so much for getting in touch. Tomorrow, Shaun will get into some feedback. I also want to talk a little bit more about Windows and also the Google Notebook LM app that just dropped on iOS and Android as well. So we'll talk about that tomorrow. Thank you as always. Catch you then.
Thank you. Bye-bye.